And we are back, and we just finished watching 2014's Interstellar, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 2 hours and 49 minutes. This comes to us from director Chris Nolan with a script by Jonathan Nolan and Christopher Nolan, and stars Matthew McConaughey as Joseph Cooper. According to IMDb, when Earth becomes uninhabitable in the future, a farmer and ex-NASA pilot, Joseph Cooper, is tasked to pilot a spacecraft along with a team of researchers to find a new planet for humans. This also stars Anne Hathaway as Dr. Brand, Michael Caine as Dr. Brand, Jessica Chastain as future Murphy, Mackenzie Foy as young Murphy, Timothy Chalamet as young Tom, and I guess Casey Affleck as older Tom, and John Lithgow as Donald, the grandfather. This is, I think, our first time watching this from start to finish in one sitting. I think I've seen this in bits and pieces. I'm going to go to you. What did you think of the film?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I was entertained. It's a long movie.
Yes,
But it didn't feel as long as it could have.
What did you like about it?
I just thought it was an interesting story. The fact that there are stakes involved, the way that they explained the science made a lot of sense. The fact that he is making this colossal sacrifice because he needs to not only save his family, but save all of humanity. And just, I would say the adventure that they go on was well told.
Okay. What are some of the themes? Can you talk to me about some of the themes in the film?
Like the destruction of the environment.
That's definitely a big one.
That's definitely a big one. I don't know what exactly was going on, but basically some sort of blight was pretty much destroying all types
crops.
of vegetation, and the only thing left was corn.
They didn't even have animals, did they?
No, you didn't see any animals.
Yeah, not a dog.
The only thing you ever heard was crickets.
Yeah.
So I guess the crickets survived. But no, there weren't any animals on the planet, at least none that you saw. And things were just getting worse. There were those massive dust storms. Everything is just covered in dirt.
Yeah, it was so crazy.
Yeah, people are just like choking on it. And it gets to the point where that sort of like plays a part later on with like the life and death of a character you never even see. So yeah,
it's severely impacting the health of other characters as well. I think
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, there's really no hope. Humanity is just screwed, and there's the theme of family. I know that some people got a little upset because of the whole use of the concept of love as something that can be, I guess, they're basically the way things are. The way things to our understanding is we understand the universe to a point, and we don't understand what's beyond that point. We may never find out what's beyond that point because we just may not be able to conceive of it. We don't live in these dimensions that whoever the quote-unquote they that's sending the messages throughout time are.
That's never fully explained,
It's never really fully explained. There are some aspects where like you find out who is sending the message.
Yes, we find out
But
way later.
it's sort of like, well, there had to be a starting point somewhere, and it wasn't that guy sending the message. It was something else. But that's never really explained. So they use the concept of love as sort of like a conduit through which communication can be held through these other dimensions.
So, again, I don't think I've ever seen this film from start to finish. I've seen the memes, and I've seen bits and pieces of it throughout the years. I don't think I looked for it. The only reason we watched it was because we were doing How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, which is also a Matthew McConaughey movie. But I gotta be honest, I think I like the other one more.
You are insane. No.
Listen, this was way too long. It was a little too full of itself. And listen, the performances were stellar. All of the actors committed. I think they did a fantastic job with the script. I felt like the script was a little full of itself. Listen, he's writing for whoever he's writing. I'm glad that he's a director. I like some of his work. This isn't one of them, though. I don't know what he was trying to say, to be honest. I mean, the only thing that came through really well to me was the relationship that Cooper had with his daughter. I think that was the big thing about this film. And I feel like you could have told that story without all the other preamble. And so I think it lost points in my view because of that. Listen, you could have had a sci-fi story with family drama. And after we watched it, I think I turned to you and I was like, well, that was interesting because I feel like I've never seen Nolan do family drama. It's always some kind of time nonsense story. And so
well, this had some time nonsense.
It did have some time nonsense in it, but I feel like for the most part, they're more fantastical elements. I mean, we recently watched The Prestige. We watched Inception. And so we've watched other films of his where time is almost like its own character. And to an extent, it could be here as well, because I think it's part of the larger tapestry of the story. I think they were talking about a lot of themes like the destruction of the planet and how do we solve for this problem. But at the same time, you're sacrificing time with your own family. You've never watched them grow up. In your mind's eye, they'll always be 10 and 15, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't think he ever saw Tom again. I mean, he saw him in video chats and stuff like that, but it's not like he could talk back to Tom. It was just recorded messages.
Right.
That kind of made me sad because he gave up his family for a bigger cause. And then, I mean, I feel like we can spoil this film. It's over 10 years old at this point. So the other thing that really annoyed me was that ending, because you come to find out that Plan B was always the A game. But also, she solves for Plan A. And so because of her, like, humanity is given this second chance. And
well, let me clear that up. There are two plans to save humanity. Plan A is apparently a wormhole has opened outside of Saturn. Nobody knows how the wormhole formed. It just formed, fortunately.
And also this is sort of based in reality, right? I think I read.
There was a lot of science research and stuff that went into like how things look and how things would theoretically work. I mean, all of this is theoretical. And basically what happens is that Earth's doomed. Societies have pretty much just given up on space exploration. It's just like everybody needs to be a farmer now. We don't need engineers. We don't need people thinking about stuff like that, to the point where they're basically saying the moon landing was fake and stuff like that. But secretly, the government is trying to come up with a plan to save humanity because the blight is not going to stop. It's eventually going to get all the food and nobody's going to be able to live anymore. So what happens is, for some reason, out by Saturn, a wormhole opens. And through that wormhole is basically like a gateway to another galaxy. Inside that galaxy, they sent something like 12 astronauts to go because there were 12 possible planets on the other side of this wormhole. They heard back from 3 of those astronauts. So they're like, okay, here's Plan A. Plan A is Cooper takes this team. They go to those 3 planets. They find out which one's the best one. They come back, and meanwhile, Michael Caine is on Earth, and he's going to solve the problem of gravity. They're building this gigantic Earth ship on Earth, and somehow they're going to use this equation that solves gravity to make it leave Earth with enough people in it to replenish humanity in whatever world they find. That's Plan A. That's if he could solve gravity. If he can't solve gravity, then the ship that Cooper is on has just like a refrigerator full of embryos. And if they can't solve gravity, then they just take the embryos, bring them to the most viable planet, and start society again from that. So that's the difference between Plan A and Plan B. The secret that you find out later on is that before Cooper even left, Michael Caine was accepting of the fact that there's no way in hell I could solve this. It's completely impossible. The information that he would need to solve this can only be found from the inside of a black hole. And that's what's on the other side of this, in this other galaxy. 2 of those planets orbit a black hole. But there's no way to get information out of the black hole. Shenanigans ensue, science gets bent, and somehow McConaughey ends up inside the black hole with his robot buddy Tars, and they manage to relay this information through space and time.
And Morse code.
To his daughter, Murph, who is now the new Michael Caine of NASA.
So I hated that because I felt like a cop-out. I guess the Michael Caine character always knew that he would never be able to solve it in this lifetime. And so the ending I found super egregious because, to your point, Cooper somehow finds his way back to his daughter, who is now a much older woman, played by Ellen Burstyn. And she has solved the equation, helped humanity get a second chance. And so she's revered and things are named after her. And then at the end, she tells her father to go find Brand.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just felt weird because it was like all of a sudden, this is the answer. They're going to be Adam and Eve, I guess, and like raise all these embryos. Like how?
He was just going to go to the planet and get Brand. There was no Adam and Eve plan.
So what's going to happen to the embryos?
As far as I know, the embryos are all destroyed.
No, they're not.
I mean, even if they weren't destroyed, she's just landed on a planet that they could easily go to and come back from. That thing that he was on, where his little farm, like the recreation of his farmhouse.
That wasn't the planet. No, that was the.
That wasn't
like
the planet. That was basically
they...
a giant space station.
Right. Yes, I understand.
And
that.
they had a bunch of ships, and he just took one to go get Brant from whatever planet that was.
To go get her, or to go stay with her.
To go get her.
That's not how I read that scene.
Why would he stay there?
Because this was New Earth. This was the place that
they were in space floating around. They can go anywhere. If they found New Earth, they would go there.
She didn't need her helmet to.
Yeah, she was fine living there, but she didn't want to stay there by herself. So he went and got her. He wasn't going to just stay there, and they were going to be the only.
I don't think he was planning to come back with her.
Why?
Because this is now the new planet. If anything,
why wouldn't? But everybody would go there.
Possibly, or maybe they'll stay on the space station. You don't know that. You don't know what people want to do.
I'm not going to just assume that they're just going to abandon an entire planet that's a livable place.
But maybe that
was literally the purpose of the plan.
Yes, it was the purpose of the plan. However, like an entire civilization is living on this space station and they're happy and fine and they've adapted to this way of living.
But that's not the goal. The goal is to find a new Earth.
Yes, but you know what's funny? When I was watching this film, I was thinking about Lightyear. And remember how Lightyear's character kept trying to fix the mistake. Meanwhile, he was missing out on life, right? And so when I was watching this film, that's the impression that I got. They were on this mission. It was an important mission because it's, again, to save humanity, right? However, if they couldn't save humanity, the plan B was to have these embryos. But how are we going to bring these embryos to life? How are we going to bring these embryos to life? I mean, in the final shot, when you see Anne Hathaway, she's not aware that Cooper's coming, but she seems at peace here. And you see the lay of the land, and there's like all these little buildings. So she has now set up this thing. The guy that she was in love with, Edmonds, he's dead. So now she's here sort of being Earth Mother to all these fetuses, I guess. But then in my mind, it's like, well, how are these things going to be grown? And who's going to look after them? And you can't just have one person on this planet parenting thousands of embryos, unless maybe you stagger it. But still, that's still a lot of whatever. And so you already have a population for this planet, because that was the whole point. And again, interpretation, my impression was that Michael Caine, I'm just going to go by the actors, right? Because Brand, but Michael Caine was hoping to solve the equation, but I think a bigger part of him felt like this is a fool's errand. And so our plan B is the propagation of the species, and that will be what saves us as a species. Not that we're going to rescue all of humanity and get them here. And that comes up again because when the Matt Damon character basically says, no, this was all a fool's errand. The whole point of it was to get out here to then populate it with whatever. And that's when Matthew McConaughey gets upset because he's like, if I'd known this, I never would have left my kids. You stole this time with my children from me. And Anne Hathaway didn't know. She really believed her father because her father wasn't going to tell her, oh, yeah, by the way, I secretly don't believe that this is ever going to work. But I'm sending you because you're the best and the bright, and you're going to figure out how to recreate Earth on this other planet. So at the end, I mean, I was never under any impression that the Brand character and the Cooper character had any kind of romantic whatever. So I'm like, where is this coming from? Because to me, you know, we're talking about love. The most important relationship is Murphy and her father. That is the most important relationship. And so we talk about love, how it transcends time and space and all of this nonsense. And yet it just felt so like artificial here. And it just didn't feel really well thought out.
What felt artificial?
The whole idea,
Murphy
not
and
Murphy
dad?
and Cooper. No, not that, but just the idea of Brand and maybe Cooper now having a relationship. Because why else is Murphy telling her father, go to Brand? Like, for what reason?
She was just telling her to find her.
But for what?
Because her dad isn't a farmer. He's an explorer. She's like, you don't want to be here. You don't want to be sitting around doing this. You want to go out and explore.
And also, she's lived the majority of her life without her father.
Yeah, well, she was dying.
Right. She was now an older woman.
She was an old lady who shouldn't have made that trip, and they said it was going to be bad for her.
Right, and that she'd been in stasis for 2 years.
Yeah, that's why all the family was standing around her, because these were her last days.
Right, but she wanted to come back in case her father ever showed up again, which he did.
No, she came back because he showed up.
And she's like this revered person in this time because she managed to figure out the formula that helped kind of facilitate humanity being given this second chance. And so they created this space station that sort of mimicked the Earth that everybody lived on. You see that scene where they're playing baseball on this diamond, and then you look up and it's like this circular thing, and it's trippy, but it just wasn't enough to me to save the film. I don't know. The story felt all over the place. I wasn't really sure what the messaging was.
I honestly think you just got confused at the end, because there was no.
It's not
there's
just
no,
the end, though.
There's no indication that Dad,
It's not
go
just the end, though.
become Adam and Eve with Brant. There was nothing there like that.
The only thing that I got from this film was that the most important relationship that Murphy ever had was her father, and that Cooper loved his children, and he did what he did for very noble reasons. And yet I think part of him probably would have done it again. Knowing what he knew, I think he would have done it again, because he really was committed to helping humanity, but also making sure that by helping humanity, his kids survive and thrive. And because now they've been given the second chance to get off this planet that's dying. I mean, Michael Caine has that really great line about, like, we weren't meant to stay on this planet. We were meant to leave. Visually, it's a stunning movie. The musical score on this is amazing. At some point, the sound is egregious, because I think, and you caught it early, and I appreciate that, because I know that you're not big into subtitles, but we put on the closed captioning because it was very hard to hear some of the dialogue.
Nolan's been in interviews. He purposely does it that way. He doesn't think that he thinks that a film is better because you can't understand what people are saying, because you wouldn't be able to understand what they were saying if you were there. And to me, that's horseshit.
I agree with you.
I'm here to see a movie.
Right.
I am not in a spaceship.
Right.
I don't need to be bothered by the turbulence or whatever. I just want the information conveyed to me
so that I can enjoy the storytelling.
And your reasoning is, well, the information that I want to convey to you is that it's noisy.
Right. No. And I think that whole thing took me out of it a little. And then just too much convolution of the story. It was just too much to me. Again, this is all opinion. There's no right or wrong
I don't feel it even approached convolution until he went through the black hole.
Fair.
Once you got...
I mean, everything was clear up to then. But even still, at that point, it's like, oh my God, how long is this?
It is a long movie. Yeah.
Right. So... he's telling this story, and listen, again, this is just an opinion. You liked it, great. I didn't care for it. That's just my opinion. It took too long to get where it needed to go, and then the ending was just like all over the place. It's like, pick a story or pick a genre and stick to it. You want to do sci-fi? Great. With like a little bit of family drama? Fine. But then you have like this almost egregious amount of high-handed storytelling where like love is supposed to be like this thing that transcends time and space that people can communicate, I guess. I guess that's the story between Murph and Cooper.
I think what they're basically saying is there are certain things that you just can't explain with our senses, our perception of reality.
Okay.
Like, where does the universe end? If the universe doesn't end, is it inside of something else? How did it begin? How does it end? There's a lot of questions that we just can't see because it's sort of like we're inside of it. And the only way we'd be able to understand is if we were outside of it. But what is outside of it?
And none of these questions are answered in this film
No,
either.
none of them are.
Right.
No.
Right.
Basically, what this film presents is, think of it as like this. How did the universe get created? We don't really know. There's like scientific explanations. Oh, there was a big bang, something like that. And then you have the other side of the aisle who are just like, there's a big guy with a beard and he's floating in space and he said, let there be light or something like that. That is sort of like what we're going with here. We're making something up to explain how something like this could be possible.
Right, because then they introduce this concept of they are helping us, this, any other thing. But then you come to find out it's Matthew McConaughey. He's the they, right?
Well, so, he's the they in that specific case with Murphy.
Mm-hmm. With Brand. He's the one reaching through. Murphy too. No, but I was thinking,
it starts with the daughter.
Yes,
correct. The thing with Brandt is just something that he's experiencing because he's inside of this thing. We don't know what the hell's inside of a black hole.
Right.
We don't know what will happen. Most theories say if you approach a black hole, like all time stops for you, and then you basically get stretched to the point where you turn into like spaghetti. We don't know. Nobody will ever know, probably. But in the case of the they in Murphy's room was Matthew McConaughey.
Right. He was the ghost.
He was the ghost. And the explanation for this whole thing is that the reason why he was able to be inside of where he was,
the Tesseract,
be inside of that area and make a connection with somebody on the outside, which they state ad nauseum. This is impossible. Once you're inside, no information can get out. Yet, he's able to get information out. And the reason why he's able to make that connection is because of a strong emotional attachment. It's sort of like, well, why not? That's basically what it is. Why not? Why not say that emotional attachments can be used as a way to connect people? Because we just honestly don't know how anything like that would ever work.
Right.
And it's sort of like, okay, well, in this world, we have eyes to see, ears to hear, we have fingers to touch, but we don't have anything that could peer through time. All right, so maybe it's some sort of emotional attachment lets us peer through time. Who the hell knows? It's probably horseshit. We don't know. It's the same thing as saying, okay, well, the universe was created by a giant guy in the sky with a beard. It's just sort of like, hey, this could be an explanation. Maybe the universe is just a big bowl on top of a turtle's back. We don't know. There's all sorts of different interpretations. In the world of Interstellar, this is something that's possible. I think that people viewed it more, I guess, in a more saccharine way, as in, oh, love saves the day. How sickening. Well, what else would you use? I in my mind, it could have been any emotion, but obviously they're going for family drama. In another story, it could have been some guy falling in there, and all he could think about is how much he hated his mom or something. So all he could do is see her through the tesseract because the emotion was so strong. It's as good as anything when you're dealing with stuff that we can never possibly understand. So that's why I didn't really mind it. I can understand how people were like a little bit upset because up until that point, everything is super scientific.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes. That was the other thing that I think threw me off, because it was like up until that whole thing, everything sort of made sense. It was clear. There was a concrete explanation.
They give good explanations for it, and these things are sort of backed in science, and they give you like really good visual representations, like of the wormhole and of the black hole, all of this stuff, how gravity works, how time works, the fact that because they're so close to the rim of this black hole on that first planet that they go to, that every hour they spend down there is like 7 years or something like that. To me, that was interesting, and from everything that I've read, that was scientifically accurate. Time does do crazy things when gravity is involved. So back to what I was saying, I understand why people got mad, because at a certain point, everything we know, all the science we know, even the theoretical stuff, it ends. And there's still questions to be asked. It's still like, well, how would this work? How could something like this happen? And for lack of somebody's figuring it out, the answer is, oh, well, he has a strong attachment to his daughter, and that allows him to see her from inside of whatever the hell that thing was inside the black hole, which was set up by whoever they are. I mean, there was a point where it seemed like they were saying that they were us in the future when humanity reaches a point where it could see through time. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I misinterpreted that. That's what it sort of sounded like they were saying, which to me that's like one of those paradox things that I'm never really a big fan of.
I don't know. I just really didn't like this film. And it's very slow in the beginning. They do a lot of world building, which I guess whatever, but it was just, to me, honestly, start the story where he's going to tell her that he's going to go on this mission. You didn't need all this other cock and bull preamble.
No, you did. You did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
You did, because that sets up the end of the movie. What is the ghost?
The end was stupid.
Oh, then you have a problem with the entire thing. Me, I did not think it was slow. I thought
I'm not talking about the scene in the Tesseract. Okay, well, yeah. So yes, that wouldn't make sense if you get rid of the beginning, I guess. But the end where she's where Brand is on the planet, whatever. I hated that. I hated that.
To me, that was just tying up a loose end, because you
Doyle's character,
wonder where
not necessary. The Wes Bentley character,
he was there to die.
Yeah, but just why waste time with that? Tighten
that's
this
it. But
story.
The thing is, they didn't waste time with that.
They did, because if he
did he have long bits of exposition and
he didn't,
and story elements? You didn't know anything really about him other than that he was there. And for some stupid reason, he didn't get in the ship when he had the chance.
It doesn't matter, though, because he just wasn't necessary. He didn't add anything to the story. Yes, he sacrificed for the whatever, but it just didn't. He
didn't sacrifice. He was just dumb.
Whatever the case may be, it just didn't work. It just didn't work.
All right, what would you give this?
I'd give this a 6. I mean, I think that it's visually stunning, although I think I like Gravity more. That's the one with Sandra Bullock, right?
Yeah, no, this was prettier than Gravity.
I don't know. I think I disagree, but I think the performances are all good. Kudos to Matt Damon. I think his character was really interesting. I really liked Matthew McConaughey in this. You know, after years of failure to launch and Fool's Gold and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, to come back to something like this is really impressive. I think he gives a powerhouse performance. I think the score absolutely, music is definitely something very important in the storytelling here, and it's in all the pivotal scenes, and it's a character onto its own. It definitely lends to the emotional impact of certain scenes in the story. Again, Nolan is a very smart man. And so he's not going to tell you a silly story. He's going to dress it up. He's going to make you work for, I guess, the final payoff, right? But however, I think that the things that he wanted to discuss in this particular film, it's too much. And I don't think that he did a good job of relaying his message. I think that it's very muddied. I felt like it's the story is very convoluted. I think there was a lot of stuff in this film that could have been trimmed down that wasn't necessary. I hated the ending. I think that really irritated me to no end. And again, I don't dislike the man. I think he's interesting. I've heard him in interviews. He's super intelligent and well-read, and it definitely shows. However, I think this particular storytelling just didn't impress me at all. I think he's done better films.
Yeah.
What's your number, 1 to 10?
It's funny. You gave it a 6, and you make it sound like it's the worst film on earth.
It's not.
I'm gonna give it a 7 because
it's not the worst film.
It's a good film. It's not the best film I've ever seen. It's definitely not the best film that Nolan ever did.
No.
I could understand where you're coming from. I don't have the hatred for the ending. That didn't bother me. I don't think that there was a lot of wasted time in it. It was long, but I think he filled it up with story that built upon itself. I enjoyed the peril. I enjoyed the stakes. I enjoyed the fact that by making it a family drama, you get that personal attachment from the main character rather than just, I'm here to save humanity. He's here to save his family. So, yeah, it's good. It's not the best thing. It's very pretty.
It's very pretty.
It's very pretty. Like you said, the music is almost iconic. I mean, I hear it to a sickening degree in a lot of videos now. But, yeah.
I mean, you got to take away points because the fact that you cannot understand the dialogue is...
Oh, yeah, you know what?
That
annoys me. That annoys me about Nolan's films now. I mean, this wasn't an issue with The Prestige.
No, or other films or Memento. Prior to this. Yeah.
It started with Batman, the
last Batman.
The last Batman.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like he has really doubled down on this whole, what they're saying isn't important. No, stop it. It is important. You have such craftsmanship and everything else, and then you sort of...
not give a shit about sound
for just not giving a crap about
ridiculous.
The sound mix, to the point where I know in some things, I know in the with that Batman film that they actually like forced him to change it, but now he has like absolute control.
Right.
I remember...
I didn't like 1917 either.
I
know people love that film too, but I'm like, yeah, no.
I've only seen bits and pieces of it, but what I've seen, I'm not really that big a fan of it. That is another sort of aspect of Nolan that kind of bothers me, in that he really wants to play with time to an unnecessary degree. And I felt like, from what I saw of 1917, it was the playing with time in that was absolutely unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree.
Sort of like it all culminated with Tenet, which was a steaming bowl of crap.
Yes, absolutely.
There is nothing.
100%.
There is absolutely nothing good about it. It is just confusing for the sake of being confusing.
Yeah.
And that is another film where I think he took the hatred of a proper sound mix to another level, because that film was almost just completely indecipherable.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so again, Interstellar, we have a divided table, but you figure it out for yourselves. This was from 2014. We actually caught this on the Hoopla app. Again, in our summer of support your local library, please feel free to download the Hoopla app or go to your local library and get 2014's Interstellar.
I think different libraries have different apps too.
Yes.
Like I don't think it's always Hoopla. I think
right. Canopy is another one. And I think but not all, and again, like Canopy, I wish I could get Canopy because Canopy I think has a wider selection. Might not have this, but again,
is that the one from New York?
Yeah, that's the public library one. Again, this is also playing on Paramount Plus, Pluto TV, and also to buy rent on Prime Video. But if you have the Hoopla app, please support your local libraries and check it out there. Again, this is 2014's Interstellar by director Chris Nolan with writing credits to Jonathan and Christopher Nolan. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'd love to hear your comments, viewers. Tell us what you think. Am I wrong? I don't think so, but let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you soon for another review. And with that, we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.